we want to see referrals to the youth offending teams so that there can be a proper intervention. In the most serious cases, of course, the most serious cases
But aren't those the sort of teams that failed with the Southport killer?
Well, we don't fully know the story of the Southport killer, and that's why we need a public inquiry.
Why? You're the Home Secretary. You don't know all the events concerning Radicalana. Why not?
No, well, so this is a good issue. But we know, I do know what happened in terms of the Prevent. I've done a detailed Prevent learning review. But what I don't yet know is the interaction between mental health services, social services, early years help, the schools, all of those different organisations. We know that between them, those organisations failed to recognise how dangerous that man was.
This was 8 months ago, Home Secretary.
Which is why we need but we've had a police investigation.
Why do we need a public inquiry to find out who didn't talk to who?
Well, as you will understand, Nick, you have to have the police investigation. The most important thing was to get the criminal trial through and to get justice and to get the killer prosecuted and through that trial, rightly so. What we now need is the public inquiry, because we need all of those organisations to be able to be honest about what happened and, the way in which they failed.
And Rachel in Bexley says, does the Home Secretary now regret we weren't told more about the possible terror motives behind the Southport killings? Home Secretary, was that a terrorist offence?
So the Crown Prosecution Service concluded, and so did the police, that there was no ideological motive behind it, and therefore that didn't fit with the 2000 Terror Act, which requires for something to be a terrorism act. Well, one of the measures he was charged with was a terrorism offence, but the Crown Prosecution Service and the police concluded that it didn't, for the terrible attacks, the appalling murders, that didn't meet the definition in the legislation. But what we've said is, look, this was clearly terrorising. I mean, it was clearly an attempt to terrorise a community, and therefore we need to look again at the powers, at the sentencing arrangements for acts like this, which are so heinous, that are so just unthinkably appalling, to make sure that we've got the powers that we need to be able to do so.
In the case of the failed Parsons Green tube bomber, we were immediately informed that there was some terror-related incident, and in this one we were never told. How can we do in Parsons Green but we don't in Southport?
Again, because the advice...
We had an Al-Qaeda manual.
Yeah, no, seriously, exactly. And that's why he was charged for a terrorist offence on that one.
But we knew in the Parsons Green case, but we don't in Southport. I don't understand. Meanwhile, the country is unrest and we have riots.
Well,
because of a lack of knowledge and social media.
Yeah, hang on a second. I don't think anybody should make any excuse for rioters who threw bricks and rocks at the police. And I do not believe that was caused by what was happening about investigations.
Lack of knowledge, people take criminal action, which could have possibly been halted if Serena Kenny had been able to say, there's an Al-Qaeda manual or there's some form of terror-related.
And that's the thing. I think those groups of people who were throwing bricks and rocks on the streets at police officers, they were committing crimes. They have no excuse, and we cannot excuse them by saying, well, if only a little bit of different information had been provided, you wouldn't have had that criminal behaviour. That was criminal thuggery that we saw in our streets and rightly was treated as such.
Okay.
Do we want to be able to see more information provided as early as possible, but it's right that should be within our British justice system and that no trial is ever jeopardised. So that's why the Law Commission is looking at those contempt of court rules to see what can be provided at what early stage in the situation, because the government, Merseyside Police, we were all working together and making sure that we were abiding by the...
You have full confidence in the Chief Constable of Merseyside?
Oh, she does a great job,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.